Testing, testing, testing. Good morning. Oop, not that. It looks like I might have had an alarm error here. Okay, so the audio is definitely on. So why wasn't that triggering it? We need... Okay. Yeah. Seems to be working. Maybe because I was in the split screen mode? Although, what is that? That's message. Oh, maybe it was on because of that, and I just didn't hear it. I just have to step out and get water. Anyway, I did a little bit of stuff with Aries, and I've got to find a bunch of layout issues that we have to deal with. Like that one. Because this is... Did I miss this? Or yeah, there's a special exception on the duo chart. So I was just looking at the basic abilities. Let's actually list this as a extra thing that can do it. And there's something that differentiates based on these two as well. Okay, so there's the fast load. All right, we set up a little bit of slot exclusion. And I almost wonder if we need to get like a sidebar of basic abilities going at some point. But what I really want to do is start marking things out. Now, does the graphics Yeah, those are the big things. I don't know. We might be able to use some of these, but I must just want to rebuild my own. Yeah, that's a bunch of boon icons and a bunch of other stuff. So I just want to rebuild my own. That's something that might be interesting. That's something that might be interesting, although it doesn't look very big. That's an X, but it's not an overlay X. Badges is just something I haven't done. I have a timer effect. That could be interesting. Okay, so that's that. That's an effect that could be interesting. This is something we're going to want at some point. What does Chaos have a... separate backing? Maybe an older mechanic. Oh! I was going to use some diamonds, but that could be... Oh, do these have the current colors? Artemis? Athena? Nope, okay. Well, I might be able to swap that for Athena Demeter? Yeah, I'd have to swap the colors around. Boon icon Hades? Yeah, this is some old stuff. And that looks like a very temporary icon. Wait, yes, the directories. Okay, so those are the, I forget what they call it, the enemy bonuses. Wants to smooch. Accurate, I guess. Location text. This is usually used for something unlockable. But I guess they also use it for, like, when you've taken a keepsake and then you can no longer do it. So that might actually work. That looks very tiny. Okay, then you got a whole bunch more stuff. Keepsake highlight. I want those eventually. That's an X, but it's got a cell on it. All the dialog boxes. Health threshold. Might eventually need some of those icons. Narrator. Quest log, shop icons. I don't know if I do anything with those. I still call them shrine. Maybe leftover graphic. So another problem is, where the heck? Was the, Oh, these must be animations. Where were those X's and why were there multiples of them? That was keepsakes, right? I guess there's like some kind of glint effect going on. I might have to look for that next time I'm in game to see how much that matters. Oh, are the chains moving? Hmm. Alright, so GUI lock icon. Yeah, I think it was just GUI lock icon. We can pick one for now. So we need a way to display that. Let's see, so this is in public. I'll have to look at what the frames might be used for next time I'm in. That actually, okay, the ordering's wrong. Oh, but that is, Hmm. All right. Okay, there we go. I mean, I guess unavailable ones could almost be considered locked. That would be a different way of displaying it. But I specifically want to do things that are like you could pretty much can no longer get there, and the lock might be good for that. All right, so now we can do it unconditionally. So we don't have a status here. Well, it's going to be, we're doing a status. We're using that for color and brightness right now. And I'd have to have a way to do it. Well, I'm going to have to have a way to do a dummy there anyway, aren't I? There's going to be some kind of condition. And I guess in the interim, we work out how to do excluded things. But I still think that we're kind of stuck with empty group if we want to do nothing. Okay, so that leaves the available stuff there, and we should start to see the other things in that category locked out. Okay. So that's the display side. I guess I would need to have a status that's excludable. And then deal with all the places that switch off of status. Okay, that actually wasn't too bad. Now. So there's the calculations on it. Oh, actually from active slates and active slots, you can get to excluded to an extent, maybe? So anything that's excluded is going to be derivative of these two properties. And I might have to do some extra data to figure out how we do that. If slot is filled, we set unavailable. This is one of the ways we can get to excluded. We're still doing that for unavailable. We need to boon chart. Now we actually have this thing we can check against. So if we do that, then right, yeah, those are the two shots. That makes sense. Your flourish locks out that flourish. Boon has required slotted trait. Boon meets requirements. So we're asking this for a particular, on a per trait basis. So trait status does all of them. Maybe I want to calculate. Okay, so we calculate active slots from that, and then do the individual trait. How do we do? Oh, because we have a thing that's currently active traits. I might need to. Yeah, excluded, or like with active, we make them like available and then we go around checking things off. That makes them active. Excluded is just immediately transitive. So we probably need to do a thing like this. And then we have to pass that down here. Now, could we do that just in boon status? Because we could do like a recursive thing. Well, no, because we've got a trait. You're going to depend on a trait, which is only an ID. We need to do that stuff where we still have knowledge of the graph. Well, you have requirements. We can say your requirements. Active slots. Oh, nope. Because we need the information in the trait to know if its slot is filled to make it excluded. So that means we actually need the trait information of the leaves, so to speak. So you got the active, which is true. This is going to depend on the slots. It's going to need all the data. This is actually going to need to deal with duos. And maybe that should be subfunctions. Those think pretty similar. This is almost like boon status, unless boon status just needs to get some extra. Well, it would need the list of all traits to follow. The requirements. So an individual trait is excluded if its slot is filled by something else, or it depends on something that's excluded, and that is a recursive property. So we can either have them looking up traits and recursing themselves, or we do multiple passes. So normally, your basic traits have base level, some requirements, legendary. We could go through and do base level stuff purely on slots. And then we would need 2 passes to take that up to requirements. And then we could do duos as a separate pass because they're only going to be, well, no, there's one thing that has a dependent ability. There's at least one thing that has a dependent ability. They're mostly basic abilities. So of the gods, we do a slot check. And we had a or is it one check? So gods. Is that what we want? For an individual god, their own. Well, no, that's not entirely true. that is within each god's bubble. Because I know that like exit wounds depends on a specific set of other gods' casts. So we have active traits. Maybe this would be easier with a thing like the with boon status. Maybe could I use boon status and then just like give it the empty list of excluded traits for now? I could, but I would have to essentially take that list of statuses, filter it down to excluded. I have to keep like ID status and then filter it down to excluded, take that down to IDs, and then use that in the next round. Which would work, and I guess we would just revisit it as a efficiency thing. So now do we care about this? That's active slots. We've already got active slots. So we have the ID. Is this just boon status? Yes, but so that gives us the ID and the status. We need to, it's just a filter map, right? ID status where this gets a little complicated. Maybe we're better off doing it in 2 steps. And then that gives us an initial list of excluded. But if we're relying on boon status, which we'll then have to have a new argument for the excluded stuff, we need to do this once for slots. And I mean, we're going to duplicate a little bit. If we try to do this a fully separate thing, we're going to be doing a little bit of this logic, so we're going to have to check it against active. It's active, else if the slot is filled, it's excluded. The rest of that is technically not required for what we're doing here. Now, if we were doing this, then technically checking it as a member of excluded would then take care of it in this process. So I guess that wouldn't be duplicating it as much. Huh. So could we filter out the active traits? And we still need the slot information to do this step. Could we list.filter? And I guess I only need your trait ID here. I should probably rename this trait.trait thing. And then filter to slot filled. And then list.map to there, and that's your initial set of exclusions. Subsequently, we want anything that do we need to keep checking these conditions? Well, if the slot was filled, we would have got it in this round. So we could check for member of excluded or I guess if we could either keep taking that set and unioning it with the ones that were derived, or just say member of excluded or requirements excluded. Well, this already does something. So we could start looking at passing the excluded through. We would get to the same place we are, but then we just have to build this out. Calculate active slots gets used there. Active traits, active slots, and then we want, we use boon stats anywhere else? Actually, you would not actually need the active slots then, because that would be implied by this. Oh, nope. It's still used for available. if set.member that should be plural. E-member. Okay, that should be at least as good at slot exclusion stuff, yes. Okay, so you are like really past one. Now, we're gonna have a thing that does everything from the outer perspective, which is gonna be that. You are gonna be calculate excluded slot traits. Div slots, and you only need the gods for step 1. Okay. Step 2. Did duo traits end up being a different thing? List trait. No, just traits. So we might do the sub-steps as just give me a list of traits. Although you need the initial set of exclusions. Do you not need other things? No, I think this is just dependent on the previous exclusions. We did our initial set of exclusions, and maybe there are some additional factors we can work in later. This is just like kind of propagation. So we're going to take our list of traits. We're going to oh, and if we only pass duos through at some point, we do want to maintain our original list in union. So we can go through and filter this down to just the things that are excluded based on the things already in the list. Which is going to deal with our trait requirements. This could be a lot like what we did with boon status before, where it is, that's required slotted. Boon meets requirements. Could we actually just use the inverted active traits there? If there's no requirements, it would not be excluded. So. But it's probably going to look a lot like this. Maybe I could redo that as something that gives us a 3-way answer, which you could then reinterpret, but All right, if you're excluded by traits, then you have no requirements, so you can't be excluded. You are excluded by there if... no, this is going to be an all. So this is a bit of a different operation. If there's no path to get there... Wait, does this become a straight up inverse? No, it's still, let's see. That would answer true if anything was in the list of excluded traits. This is if it's anything in the active. We would simply be inverting. We just inverted. So if none answered true, that would say it could never be excluded. If this answered true because there was one thing in the excluded list, that would be false. This would answer false if nothing was in the list. Well, you know what? Let's try it once. Just this is kind of hard to think about. So this is boon meets requirements, excluded traits, and we have to throw a not on there. Actually, I could probably, well, you know what? I'm not going to worry about being fancy. That gives us a set, and then we're going to do set dot union. Oh, I should excluded. All right, we're not really using two windows anymore. So you would do this. To roll with it, we'd actually have to make excluded traits the last thing here. Let's see. So you are a list of traits. So this is God's. We're gonna be using this for a few passes. All right, so this does our basic slots. This does the first level derivatives. This does legendaries. And then I think we can swap this over for duos. Okay, duos should not be excluded. So that's probably already incorrect. Merciful End, that's only one of your basics. So you see that's already locked. Oh, I did a basic. Yeah, that should be available. So just inverting that does not work. All right, so if it's none, false. If so, set dot intersect. What do we actually want here? We want difference. Keeps values that do not appear in the second set. So that would be in a pipeline format. Set.diff excluded. If that is empty, now we're saying excluded by, then we have been excluded. No. Well, we messed that up really good. How did the basics get in there? They have no requirements. That should be false. Oh, because I was nodding this. Because we were trying to use the other one. Okay. Okay, you shouldn't be okay, so we're initially wrong. None of that should be excluded yet. We would expect... We would expect some duos to get knocked out as you... did some basics. And I don't see any. Yeah, so that's a little backwards. So we're saying one of your requirements is excluded, which flipped you. Or none of your requirements were excluded, so you were excluded? Okay, we didn't do any slot exclude. Well, there was nothing set yet, so that makes sense. Nothing should be excluded in the first pass, though. Because there's nothing in the set to exclude. So this is just wrong. Okay, none false. Set.diff empty. Right? because this was empty, and that's what we should be passing in there. It's going to get very noisy. Wait, we called you once? Oh no, this is just batching them up. So yes, it's all empty on the first pass. I know we're having trouble with some of these basic ones, which are only going to be single lists. Diff. Empty. Wait. Maybe I read this wrong. Get the difference between the first set and the second. Oh, maybe this is backwards. Keeps values that do not appear in second set. So we're not going to be able to flow this nice. All right, now we're seeing some stuff there. Okay, we should see nothing excluded at this point. Okay, that should have excluded all the other strikes, which means we should have exclusions on anything. Well, probably not a whole lot's going to be excluded based on a pure strike. Nope, that's that one. So we do a flourish, that's available. Anything else that was lightning strike, lightning flourish, that's not going to do any of your deriveds. That's your basic abilities. Okay, nobody else has derives that are just basic strikes, I guess. Okay, so that locked out the flare by slot. Okay, all slots are out, so high tolerance is out. This is an either. If we take somebody's aid, that right. This is an any, so that's fine. It's an any aid, not excluded. This one is Poseidon specific. That's an any aid, so that's available. Actually, I clicked you at some point. We have title dash could still make these available. So if we took somebody else's dash, those would all get locked out. And we're also seeing a bunch of duos that are just impossible now. And some that are not available but not possible, which I'm a little bit curious about. Because it looks to me like all of Poseidon's basics are gone. But not all. Oh, so the one from each set is wrong. If any of those sets is fully excluded, it can never be satisfied. All right, so we had that, and then we had like these things all from somebody else. Yeah, so now that is impossible because all of Poseidon is locked. We did pretty much all one god, so yeah, your duos are not looking so hot. We could get that one. You could probably get Ares Legendary. And all this stuff. Oh, and that actually enables that bonus, and we've got all of these things as possibilities. And then there are a few things like, you could maybe get Hydraulic Might. You can get Holy Shield, which means you could actually get Divine Protection. That's a bonus on anything. To get that bonus, we can get Pressure Points, which means we can get all this stuff. Why are those available? Oh, that's Retaliate. Oh yeah, that's Retaliate Reflexes, which could actually get you Static Discharge. And we got all our aid bonuses, which actually would let you, well, no, that's locked off because of Demeter. Oh, Snowburst? No. You can get Demeter Legendary. And then all the Hermes stuff. Because I don't know if any of that would ever be locked out. You can pretty much layer on anything. All right. Excluded, make recursive. Okay, so that should be that. So that was one of the big usability things. A lot of it's just going to be figuring out the duo design issues. What else can we do code-wise? Oh yeah, we got all our imports. So the straight up polylines, I could probably go in and turn them into lines in the CAD files. The problem is going to be shapes if we want to do any of those. The thing about polylines is it doesn't really work with my current decoder method. We need some way to be able to track intermediate progress. But right now, it all kind of starts over from the same place every time. We almost need that to be some kind of decoder. So arc circle comes from arc entity, circle entity. So we could do polyline entity. And then, okay, it's connection of blah, which we need data structures for this as well. I mean, we forgot how to make a list of them or something, but this is, was this actually 10 and 20? So I know we had like one in Aphrodite. Oh, there'll be a polyline. Man, see, this is 10 and 20 instead of 10 and 11. But if we are in a decoder, nope, not that. We need to, we're going to change topic here. Multiple DXF entries. So normally if we take this, and then all of these things are kind of like in the same context, which we're treating as the start point of the entity until an end point marker. So if we do something like this, this is a pure functional thing, so to speak, in that it pulls out its value and kind of leaves us in the same context. Is there anything we could do at the decoder level that would let us deal with that? I guess tag was like one of our basic things. So we get a list. If we have the right group, then we run the decoder on the value. And this is a decoder, which means that we have, wait. Oh, we don't have an implicit list here. But we're still returning a function on a list. We already got our argument. Huh. So if it's you, oh wait, this is a value decoder. So this is a little bit different. That's why it doesn't take the list. It just decodes the value. Else we recursively go down to the next entry. We need to be able to decode a value and then advance. But there's no return from here. So what's happening underneath here? We have with, which is a map to, blah, 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 that gets run into things. Map to is just as a result map to. We just think at the width level. No, because we need to know something about the result of the decoder. Because we want to advance to where that pulled its value out. Very specifically. And if we have like a tag, Point base is just a helper, right? Yeah, that's doing like 10 and... Oh. Oh, right. A line was like 10, 11, 2021. But this is... This would kind of be a point. But we want to take everything after that point. Yes, this is this weird mix of decoding, which is pull things out of wherever, and parsing, where we keep track of how much we took. And a normal decoder is going to take up into the end. We need, so we can't like have a version that's like take this or don't with the head of the list. Well, you could pull entries off of the list if you knew how many, and then make a fake list to run through the decoder. So it wouldn't be efficient, but it might work. Decode test. Decoding entities. Okay, well, I guess this would be lightweight polyline. Entities. Wait, what's entity step? This might be an internal function, but interesting. Okay, so this is just advanced dissection entities and then supplied value. Okay, so we're scanning to entity type there. And you're just passing that to the decoder, which then takes care of everything. That's advanced to section. This is all processing of this list. Oh. Maybe this breaks out of our standard decoder mold? And we process the list directly? We can't really introspect into a decoder to say, is this the spot? Maybe if we had a decoder and some sort of test function to say when to run each one. Then we can have a meta op that says, okay, advance to here, and then run this decoder. We're going to kind of duplicate a number there. But that would kind of be parity with our entity thing. You know, every 10 run this decoder. No. Decode test. DXF decode test. This is indeed part of decoding entities, but it's not like, this is like all entity machinery. This is a kind of compound value. Well, these are much simpler values. Well, no, I guess this could kind of be that. But we do have to care about entity boundaries here. We don't have an entry for this yet. We've been doing this for other entities, even though this is not going to be an ambiguous one. We have a, well, I guess a point. Decoder is probably fine. Oh, is this going to be entity step, though? Well, I need this as a terminator. I don't need that. This isn't necessarily the entities. This is going to be a decoder. I guess it's going to be like every... So start of entity, you have a 1020. And actually, and then I don't care what this is. But if it has a 1020, then that could be potentially confusing for us. It's not every bluff, it's every 10, I guess. Decode a point. And then you are going to have 10x, so you were 1, 1. Wait, yeah, 10x, whatever. Y, or 20. Make sure we get these right. And we expect that to equal 0, 0, 10, 20. And we've never had to identify that thing. It's probably our DXF? So point entity. Maybe not. That might be DXF parser. Oh, did I not? Oh, I never had to do point entity. Okay. Things might need to get fixed up. Oh, so you're in DXF. Right, so we just have the switch for it. And then decode. This is kind of a before entity thing. We've got our map, we've got our and then. Advanced dissection. I guess advanced dissection we use to do entities. Wait, is group code the compound? No, with tag. And a decoder of list of A. You may need to do list management, so can we write this? Actually, this is going to be a little bit like entity where we scan forward, isn't it? Which means we're going to need a step. Oh no, wait, there's entity. Do we use this? Huh, we didn't end up using that. Okay. So you're probably, we don't need that. We're gonna maybe do our default value here. Every step. Initial value. And you have an intermediate state. Wait, do you return? No, entity step just returned that. Okay, you are looking for... So that was end of entities section. Well, that's something we have to detect. Entity type. I think I already have decoders that will fail if they hit the end. If we hit the next entity, we do need to stop. The problem, oh, the head of our list is going to be an entity, right? Isn't it? We have to consider all of these conditions. If it's section end, then I guess it's that. If it's an entity type, then we're at the head, so we just need to start at the rest. If we start at an empty list, then it's just an empty list. And in any other case, that's something and something. If it's any other case, then we do this on the entire list. So you have to stop when we get to section end. You have to stop when we get to the next entity. Else, we need to see if this thing is our condition. We can probably do this a better name. Oh, well, this is actually attempts to run the decoder and put it into our results. Wait, so what was you doing? Yeah, something kind of like this. But you have an else, right? I actually don't care about this. So we want to run the decoder on not the rest, but the list. And then we step again. Oh, this is the decoder and then. We want to run the decoder on the list and then. Oh, and then is a... We just have to run a decoder, but we've given it the list. Will that get into an infinite loop? It's the target code. We run the decoder. We need to run the decoder on the list. I might have to directly deal with the result here. Because that is going to end up passing list to every step, and then we're in a straight up recursion. I know this is not, this is, okay, and error, which this is saying at every one of these codes, this decoder should succeed. So I think that means that this is a straight up failure. And then, so that's very similar, but it passes the same list is the issue. I mean, maybe we could come up with a name for that operator, but then this has to recur. So and we have to expose all this stuff. Oh, we're just exposing everything. And you should probably use the same naming. Wait. You need an extra argument. But it got 4 instead. Oh, nope. That's that list. Maybe that was an every step test. Okay. That much works. We'll see if it works for reals. However, I don't have anything to decode that into. So layout would need to support a connection type. Could we decode that into multiple lines? And I'm going to need, I know I need the polyline stuff for other things. Polylines probably shouldn't be linked, but I guess they could be. They are going to have a group. Connection in layer. That is decoding singular things. The parent is decoding lists of things. If we handle list of lists differently here, we could maybe do that. Also, does our library handle polylines? I feel like we only have segments. Follow sequence points, so technically we can do that. Now we're going to have some more complicated shapes later, which we'll have to do something about. So we could handle that as an object, but that means that layout has to support that, and then everything downstream from that has to support that. Which actually layout implies... Well, no, I guess we could do a translation layer, but we kind of have to be able to draw it. So we can convert layouts to drawings. Oh, no, we're directly switching off of a layout. Okay. Oh, wait, is this where we... No, this is where we're converting it into our connectors. But we could do a translation layer there. All right, so we know at least one thing is going to break because of that. Oh, no, that's tests. And actually, we have to be doing our actual DX decoding to test this, but that is indeed boon chart. Oh, wait a minute. Did we... The decoder stuff is already kind of a bit here. We think, we hope. Except that that's supposed to be LW. Now, this cannot. Yeah, we're just doing a straight up map. This cannot convert to multiple lines, so we can just do... points, and then for now we do a case points of A, B, rest turns into a single line, and everything else turns into... I don't have a way to punt, do we? Polyline one wants 2 arguments? What? Oops. I guess I didn't undo enough. Or too much. Alright, so now we can do the decoder part. So this is exceed polyline. So you get an argument that's a list. You should be a decoder of list. So you want a list of code pair. I mean, that should be a decoder. Oh, probably need width. Is we're in pipeline format? Yeah, okay, that was it. So that could have just been a map, but... And then to actually, well, we can't actually run this yet. And then this needs to be switched over to actually live run the files. And this, we have a few lines for Aphrodite. If I got a line for Zeus too. I don't remember if anybody else used it. So that should only be a rendering issue then. Which means that this thing needs a polyline type. All right, so where are you going to need that? It's layout.line. Nope, that's in boon chart. Oh, it has space. You were missing a space. No, we're still translating this. So now we can go ahead and translate this straight to polyline. Oh, except we have to scale these. Random key press. Wait, did we just did a paste, I guess. Okay, so there's our Aphrodite lines. Ooh, this should be linking one way or the other. I don't remember offhand which way it should be linking. So attempt to use subsetting, which is still... Oh yeah, I still like this one a lot. Okay. So that is ranged and ranged. Which I didn't even do on this chart. And then there's a whole group which we don't have the other gods marked yet. There's rush, secondary, weapon, shout. All goes over to Demeter. Wait, why do we have... Why do we have all of those? And all of those. Oh, one of these doesn't, this one doesn't include aid. So this is the subset that's going to be by itself, and then we have Blown Kiss, and then so this one is going to feed into that one. So you are going to be the link to, or link from, not cast. Yeah, so that lights up all of this stuff. This thing can be going into something. Okay, so these... Actually, I need to do a switch for shield load ammo sometime too. And Zeus, we don't actually have his lines hooked up. I don't really figure out how I want to do these area things. Okay, so that's polylines. Areas might be similar, although it's going to be more than just a polyline, because I think I did some arcs on Poseidon's thing. Might only be Poseidon where I did that. And the Zeus thing could almost be an area too. What is your shape going to be? Does the name in here give us a clue? Oh no, this might not be a lightweight polyline because it has arcs in it. Which is going to look better, but also going to be a pain. No, we've got Aphrodite open. No, it's called polyline here. But we also weren't able to import that, so there's one lightweight polyline. I don't think anything else in Poseidon is a lightweight polyline. I think that's straight up line. That's an arc. I don't think I would have done it for guidelines. That's arc. That's arc. These are just little segments. Those are segments. I wonder if I can tell if it has a fill property on it. Oh, but how would... Oh, 42 is probably like corner rounding or something. Or no, wait. 10, 20, 10, 20, 10, 20. 42, 10, 20, 10, 20. So we have to do like a one of to like check for the corner radius. Nope. That's full polyline, which I'm guessing gets a little bit more complicated because they call this lightweight polyline. Oh, there's a number of vertices, so we could potentially have some information there. I'm not sure that that helps me. I mean, I guess I could, if I had a way to scan to that, I could say then run this decoder n times. It is both closed and p-line gen. What's Aphrodite? They don't define p-line gen. Elevation, thickness, vertex, vertex. Vertex identifier? Starting with, end with, bulge. Optional default equals 0. Extrusion direction. Values of extrusion direction. Well, I don't think we saw any of those. So it's just kind of a thing where you have to say, well, was there a 42? If so, we attribute it to something. I guess my question is, well, how do we define bulge? Oh, are you a extruded polyline? So boop, 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 boop. Well, no, it said it had 10 vertices. That's like 4 vertices. Whereas 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sounds a bit more reasonable to that. I don't really have information about the order of the points. Oh, now it... Wait, now it's a hatch? I'd swear it was a polyline before. So what's... Oh, is there... Oh. There's a polyline edge and a hatch. Okay. Elevation points. Hatch pattern name. Solid fill flag. M polygon. Associated flag. Number of boundary paths. See boundary path data. So that's all the hatch information itself. Number of edges, edge type. Has bulge, is closed, number of vertices. Okay, vertex. Okay, so this is the same. Wait, polyline boundary, line edge data, arc. Oh, we might have arcs. Okay, not only one of those. So there's a 10, 20, 30. Is this like the overall location of the object? '91, '92, '93, '72. So there's a polyline in there, so we're going to decode a polyline. Wait. Well, we decoded a polyline, or we should have decoded a polyline. Oh, yeah, we did, actually. The closure must be implicit, and I haven't done anything to tag it to anything yet. So the closed flag is actually going to matter. Oh, you know what? There are segments here. There's that segment there. So the bulge has some implication about if that's arced, I guess. And it has something to do with corner rounding. What they've done it by this line. Well, the good news is we have an arc from point to point. This is more 90 degrees, so we're going to have to split that. These are existing rendering stuff. But you have the complication in that we know that this one, if there's a hatch, we don't need the polyline. Are you separate objects? Oh, you might actually be in guidelines. Or should be in guidelines. Because I might have just used you to make this. Can I do that separately? And then you're in there. Okay. So that would actually make us ignore the line. Maybe it would be useful to leave that there for a little bit. Well, I haven't saved yet. Although the hatch is going to be a similar thing. We just have a lot of fields in here. Okay, this is like an ID. Some of these are generic. It's like entity IDs, class, subclass marker, or some layer information. ACDB hatch, elevation point, extrusion direction, 001. Well, it's just 0. 220, okay, yep, 001. 2, hatch pattern name, okay, solid. 70, unlisted. Associativity flag. Associative. Well, that's 71. It's just 0. Number of boundary paths. Okay, one path. Boundary path data. Maybe that depends. That's down there. Hatch style 75. Hatch pattern type. Oh, maybe the data is inline. This is down somewhere. Boundary path flag. Default external polyline derived text box outermost. Okay, so it's not polyline. I know it kind of is. Default polyline boundary type data only if type equals polyline. Number of edges is not polyline. Edge type circular arc. Edge type data. So line, arc, elliptical arc, spline. Polyline, line, arc, continued, ellipse, spline. So polyline, line, it said 2 was arc. I guess that means it includes arcs. Oh, so you actually are encoded different than polyline. So 10, 20, radius, start, and end. And we already did arcs. $73 is counterclockwise. Oh, is 72 per entity. Has bulge. Did I miss 72 before? 72 too. That's 72 edge type. That's polyline. Oh, every edge has a type. Got ya. Well, that's more complicated than a list of points. So that's going to be very much like using the shape type for other stuff. So a circle, line, arc type, center radius from to yeah. So that's going to be kind of a recursive thing. Yeah, so that's going to be coded differently, so we can kind of go ahead and save that polyline. We might still have to do the implicit closure. We'll have to see. So we need a data type to decode to. Yeah, so that's kind of a multi-entry thing, but we're off to decoding areas. So the underlying type is a hat, so it's kind of a, we're going to call it an area. And this is going to be a list of connection type. Hopefully that's not a problem. Because to be super official about it, you should have a basic type and then a compound type. Because we can't have an area of areas. So this is where I need to map. I kind of do this thing again. Well, I'm going to have to eventually do something with this, right? What is this? Layout basic connectors of... This is a layout dot connection type. All right, all we can do at this point is map this to center, map this to center, map this to A. I guess these might be points, not lines. I don't know if we have a point. Polyline. And this, what the heck are you even doing? That's why it would be kind of nice to have a completely separate type there. Only you have to get, well, if it's a list of points, then we can deal with the scale. Okay, that might... No, we haven't imported any data yet. We have A and we have A. Which, actually, in a sense... And by that, it's there. By hatch, it's there. But, eh. Arc area. All right, so an area is going to look a little like a polyline, except a little bit more tricky. All right, what is our tag is 72 for this? Do we have a name for this? It's a boundary data. I don't know if you have a point-based thing going on here. Let's see, so your point type, yeah. However, all of those knew what their type was based on the entity we were decoding. We have to tag 72 as a edge type. Do we just have float value? Let's see, float value. What's our DXF decode? XY, float value, angle. We never did an int value, did we? Now you see 72 gets used for a couple of things here. What does our parser think it is? We've never done a 72. Okay. Oh, it might be... Okay, it is just an integer. Hopefully we don't have Pyline because it has the embedded 72, which could mess us up. Tag 72, and then... Okay, so edge type of... One is... Do we just encode a line? No, this is a... It'd be a boundary line if it was. And a boundary arc. Well, I can check, but... We don't support elliptical arcs yet. Is a decoder of a connection type, which we... The 72.2, are these all? Okay, there's 72.1, 10, 20. Okay, that actually is kind of just a line. And then does our 72.2 look just like an elliptic arc? 10, 20, 40, 50. Actually, it might. It might. And if we do elliptic arcs, then that would just fit in. Oh, we don't have hatch, which should really be an entity. I think we just had this in DXF. Yeah. Entity. Oh, I didn't put my, let's see, layout, decode. Oh, right, because it's a number. Okay, Poseidon came in. We have something with some very interesting angles in it. And it looks like we probably do have to deal with closed. Because we were using the centers of the circles. And the points of the lines as our dummy data. So this is actually going to be a little bit closer to the straight up SVG arcs, which is interesting. Actually, that actually make that an easier way to end up rendering it, I guess. But we're actually able to parse that out. Okay, we do... Well, I might have to handle this specially. Because really we kind of want to turn you into... probably... And might it translate this data structure? Do we have to draw it different? So link group, link group, link group, link group, link group. So I guess we kind of really want to map shape. And then we actually use this in here. Oh, we have all the context stuff. Well, if all the scaling is happening there, you need all the arguments. Now you see, yeah, this is a map. So maybe we have to do this as a subfunction. It's either that or it gets a ton of arguments. But you are going to be a connector shape, I think. Let's just do all of that stuff in line. And I never really defined you. So area, shapes, and then this is, oh, let's just map area segments. This becomes like map shape. Of course, now we have to handle rendering areas, which we can't really do yet. Although we can just completely punt on this for now. Okay, so this is the wrong level of thing. You are producing a collage. I swear I used group as a punt here. Guess not. Oh, it's collage.group. Okay. Okay, so we can translate all that stuff. What do we do with it? You can draw the parts, but I'd actually have to put a full path extension in to do the complicated form of that. And then we decide you don't have a SVG, SVG, SVG. You've got a HTML escape hatch, but not a SVG escape hatch. You could technically do this with there's probably ways to specify curve points such that you get hard turns. Or just straight lines, so to speak. Cubic curve at its lowest level is just a list of points, right? Although it needs a bunch of intermediate points. So if we were doing two at once, they ended up sharing one common point because like first point, control points, end point, and then if you do multiples of them, the adjacent points are the same. We have a, you see we have arc from angles. That goes straight to a cubic curve. No, arc points, center AB. This is working from center radius from angle to angle type things, which is the information that we're going to have. So I kind of need to break this out such that points. Center point 1.12, that's a cubic curve again. Oh, I used that for duo arc, okay, because I already had that stuff pre-calculated. I need to kind of be at this level. Or rather, I need this function to calculate this and this. All of the points that are involved in this particular arc. And then we need another thing for line points to put it all together. So you've got simple arc from points, you've got arc from angles, so I need like, well, arc points is the curve points. So that's that. Arc points from angles. And this is a list of point. So then you I see we're still, no, we just punted. Nope, missed the number. So I should probably do some naming adjustments here. Okay, so we can get those points, we can get those points. Right, from points, from angles, this is, we can get the points here. We will need to work out how we get a line from angle, line, curve, point, line points, curve points for line. I'm not exactly sure what that should be. That thing is the underlying SVG has better tools for this, but I've been unsure how to extend the collage library. And probably actually arcs should just be a thing that you just call in the library. But this is just full generic paths, and they don't have a system figured out for that yet. So for a straight line, I'm not sure if we just go AABB, or if we have to do something more creative with extending them. Okay, so we have that. Circle should technically be invalid in segments, I think, or in boundaries. So in that sense, arcs should have their own type. Maybe like arc line and arc area line and area arc. Which I guess would be technically the same for, well, polyline was points. Although we saw arcs in lightweight polyline as well. We're just not using them. Oh, they could both use the archetype structure. I wouldn't necessarily be able to use that same conversion function. I guess polyline could kind of be in there. I keep having to do cases that just kind of ignore things, and that's bothering me a little bit. Oh. Except now I have to do separate decoders just for the just because of the return type. Yeah. Area line. I guess maybe boundary line. When we're returning an arc line, an area line. Or do we call those boundary? We can call that boundary. This makes it a little bit more awkward. And arc is kind of a... We could do archetype though. Already kind of doing that. I don't find a boundary type because we haven't exported it. Oh, we left our map in there. Oh, and then so we did this. Now this is a decoder of boundary. I guess the boundary could technically be the list, and then it's like a boundary section. All right, and then we have to deal with this stuff. You have your own archetype. Did these end up 1-to-1? And then we had the duo arcs. But we ended up with a duo connector shape. Actually, that might have been the original difference. And it's possible we're going to need to drift again, though. Maybe we can leave boundaries the same? Wait, no, that's a list. And you're doing nothing with that. Okay, so we did all the stuff. We need to get a curve together, maybe. Oh, except I have to go through and scale everything in there, which was where this was handy. We got rid of some of these center things. So scale, 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 scale. We're going to the same type now. So I guess that's one kind of difference. And then, right, so my hope was, we still have to deal with closed. That we take boundaries Right, we do have to do a map on you. And you're an archetype. Well, we just pass that too. So that gets us a bunch of lists of points. And then we have to list, our left and right might map here, or matter here. I'm not sure. And then it's a function, which is I don't know if you're set up right for folding. I don't know anything with filling yet. Well, I guess that would become a different kind of traced. Yeah. That's a little bit wonky. So it might not be that it doesn't like the way we did our lines. That's a lot a bit wonky, actually. It might not like the order of operations on join curve points. So if we're trying to accumulate a list, maybe fold right would work in that case. That's a factor too. But it's kind of looking like our lines are messed up. Oh, that's actually a lot better. Except their arcs are backwards. That actually made the lines make sense, though, which is the weird thing, because they were just like totally messed up before. So this almost sounds like a rotation direction issue, but I've got all the other arcs working that way. Maybe I ended up doing some interpretation on here. Oh, the other factor is that some of these might be white arcs. Or might be a 90-degree issue, although these kind of turned out okay. No, actually, I think that thing splits. Why do all my other arcs work out okay? Maybe it has something to do with the order of the angles versus the order of the points that they're giving that in the path. Like maybe I just defined this path with the opposite winding. Was there something about that in the hatch? Oh, no, 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 no. Can we just reverse something? That, okay. Once we've laid it out, it doesn't make a difference. That goes wonky again, but maybe now we can fold left. Now, same result. We could also... See, at this point, well, that's the segments versus the points in the segments. No, it really doesn't make any difference. Do I just need to reverse the angles when I convert this one? But I guess that's sort of implicitly defining the points. And there's no separate definition of the points there. Arc edge. Oh, there's a flag. You know what? I probably just went in and manually flipped any arcs that didn't meet that. And maybe they were all implicitly 1? So 72 is our type. This is... We could probably assume these all have these. Oh, how do we use that, though? Is the question. And the way we're doing it is always going to be... Right, but there's two circles that can go between any 2 points. How are we doing that? Is this a thing that exists in regular arcs that we just ignored? Oh, the winding direction matters because it's a path, I guess. So start angle and end angle, I could just go ahead and fix. For the path, it kind of matters which way you go. Although if arcs can do it this way, why couldn't you do it that way? But oh, right, because we can't just flip them. We have to care about we're moving from here to here in our thing. Okay. So I guess we'd call this counterclockwise. What do you call that? The is counterclockwise flag. Pretty good. I think I actually got leader once and didn't think to do general service announcements. I always get wrapped up in stuff. And I still have a name I forgot, even though I had a ton of kids the first life. I mean, it's been 50% a few times, so like the first time got all the people who were kind of waiting for that price level, and it tends to be a little bit less every time. Towns aren't failing. People are surviving as well, so there's a little bit of a hit, but though doesn't seem to be a major disruption. Things are mostly functioning, and if you have a willing student, it's running well enough to go teach them things. Is there a name for that concept? Yeah, with less people playing, the ratios could be off. Winding, there's a word. You don't capitalize there. Jeez, I could call you winding as well. And then we have to update all the places we use that, which is going to be the decoder. So I know having these separate. Oh, except I used a single archetype decoder. That might have to split now. Succeed. I don't know. The angles we were getting seemed like they were counterclockwise. And we have to export this. And then boundary arc. This is... Oh, I guess you... Is it always going to be 73? I don't know. Oh, this is a value decoder of winding. Do we have any other value decoders here? Yeah, radians. We do some angle stuff. Angle is a value decoder on the inside. This is just... Okay. Okay, actually, these are ints. So actually, this should be int value v. If it's an int, I guess it's just going to be... I don't know how they do flags. So that this is counterclockwise. Oh, yeah, error result. So we have to be, okay, 0, okay, blah. And I guess if it's an error, then it's just, oh, no, this is a result. So you have to be, so we could map that. Right, because we're going to pass through the error. Then we have our other archetype, which I'm starting to wonder about. I'll keep on using winding for now. How we actually use this is a whole other question. Oop. Dingy? Okay, so we passed through something that we can't really, well, we can check for parse errors. Okay. We need to make sure the existing arcs work. So we think it was counterclockwise based on the other angles. So where does that work in? Now also we're truncating this, but we don't expect overly wide angles here. Actually, I'm kind of surprised the Demeter thing wasn't too big. Wait, greater than pi. Should have been greater than tau. Where does winding go into this? So that is, actually this is odd angle, angle, work angle, mid angle. So all of this is just determining if we need to where we put the mid angle, I guess, which is kind of relevant to this. We're going point to point to point to point. And then I think clockwise would invert whatever this does. Or does it invert us here? So the difference of the angles, the absolute difference of the angles, and then pi is tau divided by 2. So if halfway around, then we end up inverting it. Can I figure out what the actual angles in play here are? I guess I could print out my actual data. Oh, 180 to 360, isn't that interesting? So that's definitely going to be one of the all the way arounds. That is going to be a 2 angle minus from angles, 180. It's not greater than pi. So it's going to be 180 in radians. We are going to take half of that, and we have to base it on our from angle, which is 180. So 180 plus 90, because it's the midpoint. And then if that's greater than that, which greater than tau is the full circle. So that shouldn't be greater than. We just get our midpoint now. All of this is assuming that winding. And all of this is based on the midpoint. So would the winding be how we add this to from angle? So we think it was counterclockwise originally. So that means we're like from angle plus and minus. I guess the minus doesn't really matter here. Because it should multiply out. Okay, that arc is still there, that arc is still there. These are fixed, these are not. Okay, so area. That's what we're looking at. Which is a mess. So does that also end up flipping these? Right, because this affects the order in which we put them into the list, and which is the path we're going around. Rotate from angle, rotate to angle. So from angle to angle. Ooh, does that affect the stuff I do here then? It's just direction, right? I guess it could actually define all three. And then do I need to work from 2 angle as well? So we think this was our original direction, so from angle to angle. What don't you like? Oh, start angle, end angle, and I'm going to have to use that. Okay, you're still okay. You're still okay. That has made this worse. How can that make this worse? Right, we need to leave these alone. Do I just need to process these completely differently? Well, no, there has to be a way to describe these arcs in a similar fashion. Oh, and you know what? Because of the way I'm joining, I'm actually making assumptions about where my endpoints are. And then assuming that they will be the same, which is what's messing up like the end of this thing. So this is probably fine. Well, the arc is. Overall, it's just that my start and end is flipped. Problem is I don't really know which is which. Well, I know that there's 2 quarters and 2 fulls. Clockwise, 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 clockwise. So we just happened to define this in a clockwise fashion. I just invert this. Not easily. I wonder. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know what to do with that. Maybe it's not valid for this. Oh, did I hid guidelines? Polyline pattern closed, yes. I would have to redefine the hatch from that, but that might not be hard. So you are clockwise. I'm not sure. How do I know where you start from? So you start with an arc, which, because it's all rotated, is a little bit harder. Can we... Where does that come from? Calculate the angle A. Oh, we also use that for the placement. Oh, the connectors are here, but the boons aren't. Okay. All right, center from angle pi to angle tau, winding clockwise. So that's going to be one of these two probably. Center is negative, negative, which leads me to suspect it's this one. If it's relative position, it's all going to be over here. Boundary line. Negative, 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 negative. Yeah, we're just all in this quadrant. Hmm. Am I doing stuff? We could process this. Hey, Legger. Could process it multiple times, I guess. We just have to stack everything. Well, and do a whole bunch of interpretation. Let's see. What did I just do? I just did that. So, I mean, we're getting there. So first of all, it just displays everything. There's still a whole lot of layout issues and things, and probably a whole lot of extra Ford instances to add. And it might eventually be nice to hook it into actual gameplay. But, oh, that did not do the angle. Maybe I reloaded too soon? Okay, there we go. But you should be able to pick one thing and see where that's going to go. That is also sort of implicitly said, okay, well, you took that dash, you can't get this dash. And what was yours? Any chill? Oh no, that's specifically the cast. So we can see that that's available. Meanwhile, this has become impossible. Let's see, so I'd have to think about what that is. It probably involves one of those abilities. We've knocked out several of hers. But just based on, because, you know, I've picked a cast and a dash and a strike, that's excluded some abilities that are going to depend on one of those three things from somebody else. So this starts to let you kind of see what the consequences of an action is going to be. So that enables some things, that cuts out some things. Actually, that's not affecting, it's not having a whole lot of transitive effects there. So maybe this is like some cast-specific abilities from some other people. Oh, no, that's the other one. Yeah, so this is like some cast-specific things. I think, yeah, both Artemis and Zeus maybe have some of that stuff going on. So there's still a lot of stuff to do, but the exclusions are helping, the dotted lines are helping. Actually, I didn't do any that can actually do both directions.